I feel like a lot of games, especially indie games, have been receiving ports to the App Store, and it's quite exciting for me, especially when those ports are high quality. But it's always a gamble, and you never know if the port is going to live up to the original game. That's why I wanted to try out ScourgeBringer and let you guys know if it lives up to the quality of the game itself. Don't forget to leave a like, pop a sub, and comment before we get into this, because that really helps me out, and I hope this review helps you out. Let's get right into it. ScourgeBringer's art style is incredible. I love its pixel art. It conveys so much personality and charm with its animations and so much detail just in general with its backgrounds. Everything just feels great to look at. Now with its soundtrack, it really is a mixture of like foreboding tones, and the vibe is just like everything's intense, and then there's a lot of fast-paced tracks with heavy metal, and everything just feels like an action movie, honestly, like a very gritty action movie, and I love it. And the sound effects are very impactful and sharp. Every time you hit anything or make anything explode or kill anything, you feel it, and it feels like it matters. It's crazy. I love the art style and sound design of this game. ScourgeBringer is a roguelike action game where you utilize a lot of hack and slash combat. Now what surprised me about this combat is that most of it is aerial. You can perform a variety of different combos between light attacks, dash attacks, heavy attacks, and even ranged attacks in order to stay in the air basically for an infinite amount of time. And I thought this was really cool and really fun to utilize and very satisfying to do. Over time, I came to appreciate the variety of enemies and bosses in ScourgeBringer, especially the boss fights, which are really unique and challenging and really mixed up the gameplay overall for me. I ended up really looking forward to those boss fights throughout the entire playthrough of this game, and that's a great sign. Once you defeat enemies, they drop blood, which is basically the currency of ScourgeBringer, and you can spend this blood at merchants that you discover throughout the world, and they have upgrades for your weapons or for yourself overall. Now, these are only for that run specifically, and once you die, you will lose those upgrades. Once you defeat bosses, they drop their own specific type of currency, which then can be spent on a skill tree after you die during a run. And the skill tree consists of a bunch of upgrades for your attacks or the way things behave, and this is continual progression, so this will be permanent throughout each and every run. In between all of this gameplay that I just mentioned, you are going to be exploring an overworld basically in Metroidvania fashion, where you're exploring into new rooms and it maps it out as you go, and you learn where things are at, and then you progress to the next area and do that again. Now, I was really worried about the touchscreen controls of this mobile port, but man, I didn't need to be worried. The controls are extremely well done. You have a floating joystick, and you can swipe this floating joystick in order to utilize a dash attack, and that was the hardest thing to get used to, but once you figure it out, it's really smooth and easy to utilize. Now, there's buttons on the right side of the screen for your ranged attack, your jump button, as well as your heavy attack. And the jump button, what I really like is whenever you're jumping into enemies, you automatically use your light attacks. So it makes it a lot easier for the touchscreen controls overall, and they're basically as good as it gets in my opinion. I was completely blown away. I have read from multiple sources that this mobile port does include controller support. However, I tried to connect my SteelSeries Nimbus controller multiple times and it would cause the game to crash, and I have no idea why. And the SteelSeries Nimbus controller is actually quite a popular controller, and I've never had issues with it with any other game before. So this was quite disappointing, and I haven't had an opportunity to really try out any other controllers, including the PS4, PS5, as well as the Xbox controllers. ScourgeBringer is a completely premium experience available for $6.99 on the App Store, and this includes everything the game has to offer up front, no in-app purchases to speak of, which is awesome, and it makes this the cheapest way to play this game in comparison to other platforms. All in all, I'm really glad that I waited to purchase ScourgeBringer until it came to mobile. I had a weird feeling it would, and man, has it surpassed my expectations, especially when it comes to its controls, which are incredibly good on touchscreen. I love its fast and frenetic aerial combat mixed with ranged combat, and I love its boss fights, which really give you something to look forward to and mix up the gameplay overall. This is just a solid roguelike action game and one of the best on the platform, especially when it comes to controls. This is how you do a mobile port with this genre of game. Definitely check it out. The link to the game is in the description down below.